You will see the feedback link. So after the session, go ahead and share your feedback, what you maybe really liked about the session, what you'd want to get more out of, where I screw up, because it's gonna happen. Go ahead and give us your feedback. I also put in my LinkedIn there because what we're going to talk about today, I am an open book. So you'll see me post very frequently about everything in life. And so follow me, connect with me, and I am always there to chat about this or other things. So connect with me there. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in because we have a tight 30 minutes. You are joining us live for FitPros Live. And that is one of the most exciting things I believe about this platform is that you can legit talk to me, chat with your peers in the chat there, or follow up with me afterwards. So, all right, here we go. Flipping into it. Okay. So today I'm gonna, to set the stage, I'm gonna share from my experience with really the hope that you walk away with anything that gives you a little bit more strength to make decisions and just some awareness. My journey is probably very different than yours, or it could be similar. Maybe you are just kind of curious and starting a journey. Maybe you have more years of sobriety than I do. This session is really for anyone and everyone. The goal for this session is to create a safe space for self-exploration. I'll present facts from neuroscientists, and then I will leave you with some exercises that for you to evaluate yourself. So I'll say it one more time. Feel free to chat me, chat your colleagues in the chat. Um, and the first thing I want to ask you, you are welcome to chat it in or write it down on that sheet of paper I asked you to grab. What brought you here today? So we're going to get really, really real. So what brought you here today? What's making you tune in? Are you curious about your drinking relationship? Did you try dry January about 3 weeks in and not sure how you're feeling? You might kind of miss a little the alcohol. It's Friday. It's Friday. So are we questioning how we're going to get through the weekend? Perhaps you have years of sobriety and sometimes question, could I drink again? So just kind of take note of what that is for you. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to spotlighting some things here so that we can stay focused. Just to lay the land, who am I? Who is this person? Who is this random person talking to you today? So I'm going to tell you what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. So for me, I had really early patterns of drinking. And so started when I was a teenager. I had this just urge to always try to fit in. I wanted to be liked. And so that was my journey there, but it continued into my corporate culture. And so I worked in corporate marketing and sales for over a decade, primarily in the hospitality industry. So, but I was always whining and dining clients and just just always had to be busy. The interesting thing with me in those drinking days was that I was never a blackout drinker. So I would hear stories of my girlfriends after the weekend. They're like, "Oh yeah, I totally forgot that night." That never really happened to me. But I liked a good drink. I didn't even drink every day, necessarily. Uh, but in 2011, I got a DUI. And I had so many excuses. I was like, oh, maybe I just didn't eat enough at dinner time. Oh, I was doing lots of shots. I probably should have stopped taking the shots earlier. It was all of that, lots of excuses. And you would think that that was a wake-up call for me, but it was not. So a turning point for me came in 2013. So September 14th, 2013 was my last drink of alcohol. Quick story on this is funny because I lived in San Francisco Bay Area and I would have memberships to some of the wineries up there in Napa and Sonoma. So I had bottles of champagne and wine and all the things I loved. I loved good wine. So my girlfriend was having a going away party, and by party there was three of us. But I took about 5, 6 bottles over to her house. We sat on the rooftop, looked at the Golden Gate Bridge from her roof, we were saying goodbye, and something hit me in that moment. And I said, I'm gonna just try this not drinking thing. Because on and off, I had tried it through the years, and um, but that was it. So September 14th, my last drink, and then on September 15th, 2025, last fall, I celebrated 12 years of sobriety. So not a lick of alcohol. What's happened since then? it's just really been eye-opening. Every year's different, life's still a roller coaster, things still happen. But I found this connection with self that I never truly explored in the past. And so it became this adventure for me to explore these new things and new ways of life. Um, so then what happened is I stopped my marketing career. I said, I am done with this. I'm burnt out. I can't take it anymore. Left the marketing career and went on a yoga retreat. It was a retreat in Costa Rica for getting sober or any addictions, just kind of letting go of those addictions. With Tommy Rosen was the instructor, and followed them there. And I woke up out of this meditation. I said, I'm done. I'm just done. And so I became a personal trainer. I went to India and I spent some time there getting my yoga teacher's training certification. I then became a certified health coach and nutritionist. Now, I did that for a few years. And then in 2015, my youngest brother passed away. He died in a car accident. And when that happened, I hit this just a wall. Gratefully, I was already 2.5 years sober at that point. And so I had tools in my toolbox, but I still felt there was something more. I loved one-on-one training, but I felt there was something more. And so I needed clarity. I went backpacking through Asia by myself and started writing a business plan. I just had this spark of idea, remembering how miserable I was in the corporate world. And I really wanted to help more people that were suffering the way that I did. I did not know where to find true health and wellness and well-being, and things that made me whole because I, like you, have so much varying needs. At that time, it was getting sober, but I also had eating disorders. I had, confusions with food and different things like that. And so I started writing this business plan, and there comes FitPros. So this platform that you are watching this on is FitPros. And so I am the creator of this platform. And so I am truly, truly grateful from the bottom of my heart that you are showing up for yourself. By you showing up today and allowing me to talk about this helps me stay sober. It helps me not pick up a drink because it allows me to dive back in and remember why I don't drink. So again, I have so much gratitude for you showing up today, and I hope that you enjoy the journey. So let's dive in deeper to learn about what's happening in the world today. So this culture shift. So it's super interesting because 10 years ago, most US adults said they were drinkers. That approximately 8 out of 10. And this was from a Gallup survey. But a recent Gallup survey said that nearly half of US adults are not drinking. So this is the lowest level since 1939 per Gallup. So what is driving this shift? I really believe that it's millennials and Gen Z who are driving it. This attitude towards alcohol is they're making it cool. And I fall into that category, I think. No, maybe not. I'm not sure. But I follow a couple cool hashtags of no booze babes, and they kind of make it sexy, like interesting. And so, when I'm feeling down about it, I'll tune into those hashtags. Um, because when I started considering not drinking and the way I was raised, it was people that didn't drink alcohol who had a problem with alcohol, were perhaps living on the streets, or they just couldn't control it, so they were the problem. Gosh, the education behind it is so fascinating because so many people are not drinking, not because uh, like for me, alcohol does something weird to my insides. But so many people are looking at it like alcohol is just unhealthy or it does certain things. And we'll get into the science of what those things are. But what I also find really interesting right now is some people, maybe more old-fashioned, there's actually an article in the Huffington Post. I think I have it open. I'll put it in the chat here. That they're ousting that they claim that the millennials are ousting AA. And by that, it's because there's a tradition, the 11th tradition, that says public relations is based on attraction rather than promotion. Now, I have the utmost respect for that tradition. I do fully agree with people absolutely have the honor to stay anonymous and all and in private. However, I also believe that this cultural shift, is allowing people to normalize it. It's allowing us to feel more comfortable talking about it. And so I just really feel like that's my duty now. I did not feel this way in the early days. I mean, it took me, I don't know, within the first year to really tell some of my friends, especially my drinking friends. The first couple years of building this company, FitPros, I did not talk about it on platforms. I was afraid that corporations would see that as a weakness in a CEO and in an owner, so I didn't talk about it. Today, I have so much pride, and I just love talking to people that who are also considering not drinking for health reasons, not drinking because it doesn't react with their body well. The other thing in culture I really love is celebrities who are out and proud. I was chatting with my mom about this, and she was like, "There's no way back in my younger days that like celebrities could say that they didn't drink alcohol because that was not the cool thing to do." But today you've got the rapper Doechii, you've got Samuel L. Jackson, Anne Hathaway, Zac Efron, a ton of different actors and actresses that are talking about not drinking. So I love that as well. Um, this culture shift is just driving this greater awareness that alcohol consumption increases our anxiety, it lowers our productivity, and many people are talking about this greater sense of self-awareness that they have after some time off booze, whether it's 3 weeks in January or 12 years. You just have this different perspective on yourself by just not even having alcohol as a baseline. Um, so I'm going to share with you just a couple apps that potentially could be interesting. I personally haven't used these on a regular basis. I've tuned in, but I do have some friends that do. So I wanted to bring them up. There's one app called Reframe. And what it's really neat for is that they are consistent with blog posts and primarily on productivity hacks. And so that are really relating to your lifestyle changes. So they also have a built-in mood and stress logging capability. So you can log how you feel when you have a drink, when you don't, different things like that. The other app is called Sunnyside, and this one is on the moderation philosophy versus complete abstinence. I actually, when I first stopped drinking, I started going to these meetings for moderation. I attempted that for, I don't know, a few months at least, and it just didn't work well for me. But for some, it does. I have a friend that didn't drink alcohol for 8 years. She was very young when she stopped drinking, and today she's been drinking for about 5 years, and when we have like honest conversations, it seems to be okay for her. So truly, I firmly believe that it is getting real with yourself. And sometimes that's so hard for us as human beings, is to just be raw and real. So these apps are really cool. The final thing I'll say before I move on is what I love about cultural shifts is when you go to a restaurant. I was in San Francisco not too long ago, and it was this awesome restaurant, the Presidio. Half the menu, the front page of the menu was non-alcoholic beverages. Before you got into everything else, it was non-alcoholic. So I just think that is really cool. So the first exercise that we're going to bounce into today is called My Why. So what I'd love for you to do is write down this prompt. The last time I drank, what were you hoping for it to do for you? Were you hoping for stress relief? Were you just going out with your friends for some fun? Just hoping to come out of your shell a little bit and connect with people? Maybe you like the taste. I did. So let's write down what it was that made you drink that last time. Or maybe there's a time coming to your mind where you're like, that was an ugly situation, but what brought you to drink that time? So what this helps us do is identify what was our intention behind that drinking situation, And then what was the impact? So helping us tie together the why and the what. Okay. So let's talk about what alcohol really does to the brain, the body. I'll start with sleep. As you might know, it doesn't allow your body to go super deep in a REM. You fall asleep faster, you're knocked out, but um, hard to stay asleep well. The other one is anxiety and performance. So alcohol actually alters your gut microbiome. It spikes your hormones and then worsens your anxiety the next day because it tricks your brain into temporary calm, but it leaves your nervous system going, what the? So it's overstimulated once it's metabolized with alcohol. Um, so I mentioned cognitive performance. The other moderate. So research shows that even moderate alcohol use is associated with changes in your brain structure and the chemistry that influence your mood and your hormone and your motivation. So alcohol really disrupts more than your sleep. It affects your entire system. I'm a big fan of Andrew Huberman. He's a Stanford professor and neuroscientist. He has this amazing YouTube channel and podcast. And the title of this one I love is called "What Alcohol Does to Your Brain, Body, and Health." And it literally, in his words, acts as a neurotoxin. So alcohol metabolizes and into this compound acetaldehyde that is toxic to our cells. So acetaldehyde is a carcinogen that, when associated with alcohol consumption, it actually is related to higher cancer risks. So again, take this from a neuroscientist, tune into Andrew Huberman. He will explain that much better than I can. But in his words, alcohol does effectively act as a poison that damages your neurons. Um, so really interesting stuff. There's so many myths out there that are getting busted about red wine, and that it's it's just an outdated and misleading fact. So a lot of things for you to check into on your own there. So we're going to do this next exercise here, and it's called the honest inventory. What I want you to do is create two lists. One at the top, write what alcohol gives me, and then on the second column, write what alcohol takes away. There's no wrong answer. It's just what feels true for you. Some of these exercises we're not going to get to spend a lot of time on, so I really would enjoy if you could write down the prompts and then spend 15 minutes after the session to go over it a little deeper yourself. But we've talked about how cultural and science are shifting around alcohol. Now let's turn the lens inward. I hope you're writing. What does alcohol give me? What does it take away? You might just come up with a couple things. So I'll jump in and I'll share a few of mine as you're writing. When I did this exercise, what came up for me, alcohol gives me confidence. I I think I like something takes over me and I'm like, oh, everybody likes me here. Little did I know that, years later people were like, you were kind of annoying actually. Um, but it did give me confidence. I felt connection in the moment. I would ramble for hours with friends. Something, the next day, not really knowing like what that conversation was about, but I know we just talked for hours and hours. Um, and later I learned that those connections weren't really based on like truth or anything like solid. And so very interesting now doing that reflection on those conversations and the types of conversations I have now. Also fun. Funny story, like I I would get up on the bar and I would dance and I would fall off and I would end up with bruises. And so I just thought I was the life of the party. Today, I'll still get on the bar with you. I just won't fall off and it won't hurt as bad and I won't look as silly. So I thought not drinking alcohol was going to take away a lot of the fun of who I was, but alcohol isn't my identity. It was just something additive that actually didn't serve me. So In the takeaways list, things that it took away from me: time, motivation. I did not feel like going to an exercise class the next day, and also self-respect. I would do some silly things or say some things that weren't great. But seeing both sides in this list really helped me realize the trade-offs that I would make, every weekend. So it often helps on a Friday like today to go through this and helps you get through that weekend. So for me, it wasn't about quitting right then and there. It was about getting honest. So take a couple moments, write some things down. I'm going to drop some links in the chat for you. You can bounce back to the other prompt if that's helpful. Here's the Huffington Post article I mentioned earlier. So go ahead and pop that open. And then here is the Andrew Huberman podcast. Copy and paste. All right, cool. Moving through common triggers. Okay, common triggers and habit loops. Noticing our triggers can really help us determine whether we should or should not put ourselves in a certain situation. So, emotional triggers: feeling stressed. Do you drink more when work is at its peak? It's your busy season. When you're home alone and lonely, do you lean towards drinking? Just being aware of when those things are. I love this acronym HALT, HALT. So sometimes I'll be out and about. I'm feeling anxious, and it's like a networking event or something. I will walk into the bathroom and I will say to myself, "Am I hungry? Am I angry, lonely, tired?" HALT, HALT. When I can truly like connect with, oh yeah, you know what? I am angry at this person I just saw across the way for whatever reason, or I'm exhausted. My kids kept me up all night and I'm just so tired that I can't even think straight. So hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Situational, say you're at a work event. One thing that really helps me is when I just put a drink in my hand. The moment I walk into an event, I'll put a club soda or a mocktail in my hand. Because back in the day, I would just constantly mindlessly sip. I'd be chatting away, sip, 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 sip. So now, if I have a drink in my hand that is non-alcoholic, it's okay, not a big deal. And also, it stops my friend or anyone else that might not know that I stopped drinking to say, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna go buy you a drink," and that so you already have something in your hand. That is something for me. Another situational trigger is places. So for me, I was a snowboarder before I stopped drinking. And I would love to, this was in Lake Tahoe, we would go to Heavenly. There were certain bars that I would love to stop in. And I don't know why, but I would get a Blue Moon. And I don't like beer. I never liked beer, but it was just the like built-in thing. So I had to avoid going to that when I would go back to snowboarding after I got sober. I would have to avoid those bars. I would have to go. Actually, for a while, I started going to Kirkwood. Actually, for a very long time because I started liking it better. But I started going to a different mountain or avoiding those bars and restaurants. Um, so the next one we'll talk about here is the gap. So what's the gap between an urge and you making the choice? So that's the desire and what's the decision? So the next time you're having thoughts, just pause and evaluate, oh, this is an urge and it will probably pass. And how you can help it pass is play the tape. So think forward, what could happen if, or what happened the last time? Play a tape of the situation. Okay, now let's do a quick prompt here. Understanding your triggers. Let's identify your top three. So quickly write down, is it work deadlines, um, family anxiety, social anxiety? What are some triggers for you? And then you're going to rate the intensity of them. So prioritize between those three. There's going to be a lot more. So when you do this later, you'll have more, but rate how much this thing is an anxiety pusher, and then where does this one fall? And it kind of tells you where to prioritize not doing a thing. So for me, it was snowboarding and really, you know, having a whole new plan of action when I went to the mountain. Awareness really is the first step to making conscious decisions. Okay, imagine with me. I want you to pause and just imagine what could happen if you stopped drinking. Might you have more energy, uh, more clarity? When I first stopped drinking, I had no idea what life could look like without alcohol. I did not know how to go to um, the park without a bottle of champagne on a Sunday morning for brunch. I was not sure who I was at parties and networking events, or even home on a Friday night. I couldn't understand what I would be doing. I was so afraid that on my wedding, that not to be able to have a toast of champagne on my wedding. These are real fears that it bogged me down. So what surprised me the most, once all the noise was gone, was the clarity. Some things for me that showed up was this lucky number. The lucky number 17. I would see it in different places. I do today. I did early days of sobriety. Um, my brother that passed away, I mentioned earlier, his name is Corey, and there are signs I see in every day where I'm like, Corey's present with me right now, and I wouldn't have noticed those things before. Um, Acceptance brings peace. So today, I focus on what is happening. I am more present. I cannot think about forever. If people ask me, like, how are you never going to drink again? I can't think about that. I think about today. I'm not going to pick up a drink today because I know it doesn't serve me. So I'm just going to focus on what is happening now and in the moment. Another thing that became possible for me was connection. Uh, People in your life will see that you're living differently. The respect that might have been lost before comes back so strong, and they know you're working towards something and working on yourself. So the growth that happens truly becomes a reward. So ask yourself, what would happen if I cut back, if I could control it, or if I removed it completely because it no longer serves me? Just ask yourself and be so honest with yourself. Remember here that it's progress over perfection. Every small step counts. Okay? Write this down because we are running out of time. This is your final prompt called the future letter to me. I want you to imagine yourself in 6 months, in a year, what positive changes could come out of that. So write yourself a brief message. Here's what changed when I stopped cutting back, or when I stopped or cut back. What is that version of yourself? What does it look like? If anybody would like to share, please feel free to do so in the group chat here. Send me a direct message. I'm going to stay on for a few moments. As I mentioned earlier, connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message. I talk about this constantly. What In early sobriety, I felt alone. I realized that connection doesn't always mean talking. Um, in a group setting, what connection meant for me is just knowing that other people are questioning things. And so you could talk to someone one-on-one, or you could speak on a platform. You could completely analyze it for yourself. But we heal in community, not in isolation. So learning from community, being part of community helps. The universal truth is that everybody has a thing, whether it's alcohol, workaholic, anger, perfectionism. Everybody has a thing. So don't feel hard on yourself. Just work towards the better version of you, because reflection, awareness, all of that matters. It's about small, honest progress. You showed up for yourself today. It's one honest moment at a time. It is one day at a time. Here's some links to things I mentioned earlier, and take these with you. I'm going to drop the feedback link in the chat again because please, if there's anything more you would have rather gotten out of this session, I would love to know that. If there's anything you'd love to see in future sessions, let us know. As I mentioned, I am the CEO and founder of FitPros, and so your feedback on all of our sessions is incredible because you make this platform happen. I truly mean that. We want to know what is driving you towards your personal best. Thank you so, so much for showing up. There's no one size fits all. Take what works for you and leave the rest. As I mentioned, I'll stay on for just another moment for anybody in the chat that wants to connect with me. For those of us who know we can't moderate, we just say, I'm just not going to drink for today. And that's what gets me through. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful day.